So about a week ago or so, I was looking up Eckhart Tolle on Wikipedia and found that he was married to Kim Eng, E-N-G, and doing some research on them, I found an interview where she's interviewing him about relationship. And one of the things that he states in there, and one of the things I found interesting, is that he's so negative about marriage, and I understand why. Because a lot of people, are very unconscious in their choices and so forth. And, personally, I don't believe that getting the government involved with one's relationship is interesting. So the concept of a legal marriage doesn't appeal to me at all. It did twice in my 20s, but I don't feel that it is something that feels congruent anymore, that kind of legalization of love thing. But I thought, he's dissing it all the time, and he's married. Depending on what source you read, he has a long-term partner, but I think he's married. So there's another side to relationships, which is a positive one, but he's also, as a teacher, focusing on the things that people are resisting looking at, which is the negative side of relationships, which is important to understand, the shadow of it all. And one of the things that he said that really resonated with me was a relationship is basically a resistance to surrendering, or a love relationship. Love, as used by the ego, is an excuse to avoid surrendering. And I thought that was very profound. I don't think it's always that way, because if you love yourself and you have something to offer and are willing to grow and be, seen, then relationships can really be used effectively. In The Power of Now, he speaks about, even though how most relationships are dysfunctional, if both people are willing to own their pain body stuff and let it be triggered and pay attention to it and own it as it comes up, then it can, be a positive thing. But this concept of avoiding surrendering, I thought was very powerful, because when we surrender into life, into the now, even if we feel pain in the moment, if we feel anxiety or sadness or whatever, then there is an opportunity in the moment to become more comfortable in one's body. But if you never surrender to just what is, then the ego can use the concept of a relationship, what is this other person doing, what is this other person thinking, or the desire for a relationship of, if I'm in a relationship, I'll feel better, and that's not always the case. Sometimes we have to just surrender to what is our current lesson, and that might be to just get comfortable with ourselves. So the idea that ego uses love, relationship, and so forth to avoid surrendering, that seems like a good thing to keep in mind, because it can check us in terms of how we're utilizing a relationship, because anything that can be used by the spirit can also be used by the ego, like sex, money, love, influence. All of these things, I can see situations where they can be used positively by the spirit or negatively by the ego. Surrendering can be scary, because if we just surrender into how we feel and what we're experiencing, we might not like what we find there. It might be uncomfortable. We might get depressed. We might feel empty. We might feel hollow. There's no telling what might come up. So there's all kinds of distractions that can get us away from the process of feeling how we feel and being present with our feelings. And relationship, love, that can be a kind of thing that is a very effective excuse because of our sociobiological tendencies to be drawn on that, you know, primal level towards finding a mate. And it's, I think, best something that needs to be approached consciously.